Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a heartwarming tale about finding your way, even when you feel completely lost. Get ready for the story of The Lost Bird. Imagine a world high above the tallest trees where thousands of tiny feathers flitted and chirped. That's where our little hero Pip lived. Pip was a small, vibrant bird, still a fledgling really, with bright, curious eyes and a heart full of song. He belonged to a bustling flock, always soaring together, their collective chirps echoing through the sky. They were a family, a community, always looking out for each other. Pip loved being part of something so grand, so safe. He'd always followed his parents, his older siblings, never really having to think about where they were going or how they'd get there. Life was a beautiful, effortless journey with his flock. One crisp morning, the air was buzzing with excitement. It was the day of their great migration. The flock was preparing for their long journey south, towards warmer lands and abundant food. Pip, full of youthful energy, zipped around, playing tag with his friends, his little wings flapping furiously. He was a bit of a dreamer, always distracted by a shimmering leaf or a particularly fluffy cloud. While the older birds were meticulously planning their flight path and checking on the younger ones, Pip was busy trying to catch a sunbeam, twirling and diving with pure joy. He was so caught up in his playful aerial acrobatics, so enchanted by the sparkling light, that he didn't notice the flock had begun to move. He soared higher, then lower, performing an impressive loop-the-loop, feeling utterly free. When he finally looked up, expecting to see a sea of familiar feathers, his heart gave a little flutter, not of joy, but of a strange, chilling emptiness. They were gone. The sky, which had just moments ago been filled with his family, was now vast and empty. Panic began to bubble in his tiny chest. He chirped, a desperate, high-pitched call, but only the wind answered. He flapped his wings harder, soaring in widening circles, calling out again and again, but there was no reply, only the echo of his own fear. Pip was utterly alone. He'd never been separated from his flock, not even for a minute. His world, which had always been so safe and predictable, suddenly felt enormous and terrifying. Tears welled up in his bright eyes as he floated down, landing on a branch of a giant oak tree, its leaves already turning golden with autumn. The sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, but Pip saw none of its beauty. He only felt the cold grip of loneliness. He tucked his head under his wing, a tiny shivering ball of feathers, and spent the night listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the forest, sounds that usually faded into the comforting chirps of his family. The next morning, the world still felt big and scary. Pip woke up hungry, his stomach rumbling. He'd always relied on his flock to lead him to the best berry bushes and the juiciest worms. Now, he had no idea where to find food. He flew down, tentatively pecking at some unfamiliar leaves, but they tasted bitter. Despair started to creep in. He wanted to give up, to just sit there and wait, hoping his flock would magically reappear. But then, a tiny spark flickered within him. His parents had always told him stories of brave birds, of pioneers who charted new paths. They'd always encouraged him to be curious, to try new things. Taking a deep breath, Pip decided to try. He flew to a nearby bush, spotting some bright red berries he'd never seen before. Cautiously, he took a nibble. To his surprise, they were sweet and delicious. A little triumph, a small victory. This moment, finding food for himself, was a huge step. It wasn't just about the berries. It was about the realization that he could do it. He could find food, even without his flock. This newfound independence, however tiny, gave him a glimmer of hope. As he continued his search for his flock, Pip encountered many challenges. He flew through dense forests where the trees seemed to reach the sky, making it hard to see. He braved strong winds that threatened to push him off course. One afternoon, a sudden storm rolled in, drenching him and tossing him around like a feather. He found shelter under a broad leaf, shivering, feeling that familiar pang of fear. But this time something was different. Instead of succumbing to despair, he remembered the sweet taste of the berries, the warmth of the sun after a cold morning. He remembered that he had navigated tough situations before. Each challenge, big or small, taught him something new. He learned to identify different types of berries and seeds. He discovered how to use the wind to his advantage, soaring higher and faster than he ever thought possible. He learned to trust his own instincts, his own little compass pointing him forward. He also met other creatures along the way. A wise old squirrel, Squeaky, who, after much chattering and a shared nut, pointed him towards a river, explaining that many birds followed rivers during migration. A busy bee, humming about a massive flock that had passed by a few days ago, heading south. These brief encounters, though not the reunion he longed for, provided valuable clues and reminded him that he wasn't completely alone in the world. Days turned into weeks. Pip grew stronger, his feathers gleaming, his flight more confident. He no longer felt like a lost bird. He was an explorer, a survivor, charting his own course. His chirps, once desperate calls for help, now carried a new tune, a song of resilience, a melody of hope. He still missed his flock. Oh, how he missed them, but the gnawing fear had been replaced by a quiet determination. He knew he was heading in the right direction, guided by the sun, the stars, and the whispers of the wind. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he saw it. In the distance, a familiar swirl of feathers, a cacophony of chirps that made his heart leap. His flock. They were gathered by a shimmering lake, their voices a symphony of homecoming. With a surge of adrenaline, Pip soared towards them, his wings beating with all the strength he had gained. He chirped, a joyous, triumphant cry, and this time it was answered. His parents, spotting his distinct vibrant feathers, flew to meet him, their chirps filled with relief and happiness. There were joyful reunions, nuzzles, and shared stories. Pip recounted his journey, the challenges he faced, the lessons he learned. His parents listened with pride, seeing not just their little Pip, but a brave, independent bird who had found his own way. He was still Pip, but he was also something more. He had flown through fear and uncertainty, not just finding his way home, but finding himself along the way. He wasn't just a follower anymore. He was a leader in his own right. He now flew with his flock, but with a new sense of purpose and confidence. He shared his knowledge of new berry bushes and clever wind currents. He was no longer afraid of being alone, because he knew he possessed the strength and wisdom to face anything. His journey had taught him that true belonging comes not from always being with someone, but from being comfortable with yourself, knowing your own capabilities, and having the courage to navigate life's challenges. It taught him that even when you feel lost, you can find your way, and in doing so, you discover a strength you never knew you had. So, what can we learn from Pip's amazing journey? It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest adventures begin when we're pushed out of our comfort zones. It's in those moments of feeling lost that we often find our true selves, discovering courage, independence, and resilience we never knew we possessed. It's about believing in your own wings, even when the sky seems vast and empty. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. Remember, just like Pip, you have incredible strength within you. Believe in yourself, trust your instincts, and know that you are capable of amazing things, even when the path isn't clear. So, go out there, embrace your journey, and let your own unique song fill the sky. Thank you so much for joining me today for Pip's story. If you enjoyed this tale of courage and self-discovery, please give this video a big thumbs up. Share it with someone who might need a little encouragement, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories and adventures. We love having you here, and we can't wait to see you in the next video. Fly high,